Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Phil Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and for today's episode of Seeking Neon, we are looking at episode 10 of season 3 of Steven Universe. This episode is called The New Lars. Is there life on Lars? We'll find out. There probably is. Anywho, near the beginning of this episode, I have to say that sloths versus koalas would be a fantastic splatfest. Unfortunately, that seems to have ended for the Wii U. We will miss Splatoon. We will. Although it's a very important question, and I don't think that's true about sloths. I don't think that's true. Anyways, this episode. You see, Steven is a bit of a busybody, and he seems kind of intent on butting in on Lars and Sadie's business a bit too much, really. To the point where, after kind of witnessing a little spat between Lars and Sadie, Steven goes to sleep, and using his little mind-melding ability that we'd previously seen in Watermelon Island, and in previous episodes where he was reading Lapis's mind, essentially, or Malachite's mind, he ends up swapping into Lars' mind for part of a day. And Lars has a lot of normal issues. He's not good at school. His parents are fairly disappointed with him. He's kind of rude to some of his friends, and he kind of jerks Sadie around just a bit. But he's kind of just, one of those, he's in that weird awkward phase. You know, that part in your teenage years where you wrote a lot of terrible poetry, or listened to like My Chemical Romance while thinking about, oh, what's wrong with everyone else? One of those things. Lars is that point. He's at that time of emotional immaturity where you dye your hair or you put horrible gauges in your ears or whatnot. It's that time where people just kind of lash out and they don't know what they're lashing out at. That's Lars. But Steven, being the busybody he is, after he jumps into Lars' mind, he's all trying to be better toward all these people without really realizing that that's not right. Essentially, nothing Steven does in this episode is actually okay. I mean, we do get to see a little bit of Lars' family and a little insight into how other people treat him and how he interacts with other people outside of work. Lars, or rather Laramie, it reminds me of like a county in Wyoming or whatnot. Reminds me a bit of a lot of people I knew growing up, essentially. When you hit like 13, between 13 to about 25, maybe 30 for some people, you get to a point where you're just like, you're not comfortable with people or certain situations, and you're just not really in that moment. You're like, I guess, that type of thing. And that happens. That happens to everyone. But Steven is kind of the opposite of that. Steven is very emotionally vibrant, but not what I would call emotionally intelligent. In other words, he doesn't notice nuances or seek out nuances. Everything is very one way or plain to him. Essentially, he's got emotional blinders on, where everything has to be, it's showing empathy without understanding empathy. And I feel that after it's revealed that Steven has just been in Lars' body for the day, which is weird because nobody actually freaks out about that except for Lars. He's the only one who gets mad about it. It cuts to the next day instead of actually giving us any kind of denouement for that. You know how when you do a normal story arc, you have your building action, the climax, and then denouement? Like, that's missing from this. In fact, instead, it cuts to the next day where Lars is at work, kind of depressed, and Steven comes in to apologize, and then Lars also kind of apologizes a little bit to Sadie over his treatment of her in this, and kind of his general treatment. Essentially, this feels like it was more of a concept episode to show a little bit of the range of Steven's abilities, and maybe to give us an episode centered around Lars that's actually centered around Steven. In fact, a lot of these episodes are actually just about the main character. The side characters are just there. Essentially, the side characters are what you would call fridge people. They're or condiments. They're essentially there, and some of them are even named after condiments like sour cream or onion or Vidalia, and they're just there to try and add a little bit of flavor to a fairly bland hero. And in this one, nothing of what Steven does in this episode is right. But it all ends up okay in the end, which I didn't really like this episode at all. And to be perfectly honest, one thing I like about the way that they do these episodes, I know some people are like, oh, these hiatuses. No. What they do is they do a hiatus to get a certain amount of episodes up so that they can, episodes like this, which are fairly weak, can get forgotten pretty quickly if you follow them up with like a strong episode or you put a couple strong episodes in it. That's why we will probably not see a season 6 of Steven Universe, because they had season 1, which is like 40-something episodes, right? They're standard fare. That's what they do with Adventure Time, like 40-something episodes a season. And then seasons 2 and 3, actually season 2 was going to be 40 episodes, and it was split into seasons 2 and 3, and then what would have been eventually season 3, it has been split into seasons 4 and 5. So if there's an overarching story arc in here, they will finish that off and have some kind of, hopefully some kind of interesting ending to this. But for right now, it's episodes like this which are why they use this quote Steven Bomb formula, because that way you get past these smaller episodes, these ones where nothing really happens, or the episodes that might make you just like cringe a little bit at the main character. And yeah, that I thought the episode was kind of weak, and I felt what the main character did in this one is reprehensible. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Hit that thumbs up if you hate this video. Let's be emotionally empathetic here. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Like us and all that stuff. And until the next video comes out, you are now caught up.